Hello and welcome to 52 Weeks. This week we're finally closing out Chapter 5 Housing. This section is looking at the very end, which is looking at the building blocks of a housing strategy. Okay, continuing into the goal number 2, new housing construction. Some of the main themes include the opportunity for innovation. We will have limited number of new housing units, which we should employ design professionals with an excellence in housing. Residential design guidelines should also be prepared and adopted. This looks at design quality, life cycle performance and maintenance, sustainability. All of this helps to build sustainability within the buildings themselves and long-term survival. We also want to be looking at targeted redevelopment areas. This includes large tracts of land owned by public entities, such as the railways, authorities, the military, state government authorities, long-term speculators, trusts, and similar entities. These are entities that continue to hold residual parcels after the industrial age at Harrisburg. We should be looking at redeveloping this for a greater purpose. This also should be recognized that there's brownfields and actually hazardous remediation that needs to be dealt with, but all of that should be considered in these redevelopment areas. Every time we get into redevelopment, we should also be highly cautious of replicating the former housing types that we know in these areas where we see the disinvestment. We do not want to replicate what's already there because we know if there was a market for it, it would have already happened. So we need to be putting all this other variety into these disinvested areas. When we look at this involves multifamily apartments, condominium, and it shouldn't be a single family home or a fee simple model. Objective 5.2.1, plan before building, commission planning for new public squares and community commercial centers serving Harrisburg's areas of residential fabric. We want to bring together these neighborhoods and strengthen our neighborhoods. So one of the action items in there, commission the Market Street study for housing demand, include a detailed market study identifying and quantifying niche market opportunities for new housing in the city. In this objective, we should also identify and map strategic locations for apartment, condominium, and cooperative housing constructions, continue pattern of limited use apartment buildings and semi-detached house areas. We want to map locations for infill housing, code vacant sites as preferable for housing, commercial, open space. Communication is also important on this, preparing a graphic house plan for the Be Harrisburg website to advertise current and planned future opportunities for housing development in the city. Getting this out in a transparent manner can help bridge the innovation within the city. Objective 5.2.2, establish goals for sustainable housing. We want to make sure that we benchmark for high quality, long life cycle construction and systems. And we also want to make sure that we have low cost of building operation, tie subsidies to demonstrate achievement and operational efficiency. Require a registered architect to lead this process with a lead accredited design team for all housing in the city. We can require sustainability commissioning agent for all new housing construction in the city. We can also establish higher quality standards for city housing units than compared suburban project. And we can brand this superior quality as being differential than the things that we see in the suburbs. So this becomes a marketing thing, but also looks at higher quality and higher operational efficiencies within these buildings. Objective 5.2.3, plan for new owner-occupied housing capacity. This objective looks at providing contemporary housing and alternative housing types to augment the city's abundant supply of townhouses. The city has expressed an interest to increase homeownership by qualified residents. If we're targeting 50% of all housing units within 10 years, qualified homeowner is one that can easily afford the service of mortgage and annual maintenance of the property. Objective 5.2.4, plan for new rental housing capacity. We want to place a near-term emphasis on increasing the variety of high-quality, well-managed housing types, especially apartments in various parts of the city. This accommodates the individual needs and circumstances of our residents. Determine a target demographic for new housing, immigrant and young adult populations as the incoming groups. There's also empty nesters and those looking at car-free living. Objective 5.2.5, encourage progressive design of new housing types. Strategically locate new housing types and select new public squares and community core locations through the city. Encourage residents as individuals and groups to collectively invest in partnership well.